Hey guys, welcome to the third part of this video series. So till now what we have done, we have made a complete machine learning model. We have cleaned our data, we have used NLTK to pre-process our text data, removed many hashtags and add the rate and many symbols and many unwanted words from the tweets data that we had. And then what we did, we had multiple machine learning algorithms to run over it, and we found out that okay, there was a linear SVC model which was best performing on the model. And now what we want to do is that we want to deploy our model with Django framework, right? So first understand what's the need of it. See, whatever code we have here in our Jupyter notebook, this might be written by a developer or data scientist, and and a user cannot use it, right? So for a user to use it, they just want a tweet and they just want to see, okay, run that tweet over our trained model and just see the output. Okay, is it what category of cyberbullying does it fall into, and whether it falls into a category of cyberbullying or not, right? So they only have to see the output, right? Don't have to run the code, right? And anyway, if you give this particular code to a person who does not understand it, who just knows the applications, the end user application, so it will not be ideal way. So what we'll do, we'll try to integrate our this backend code with a front end system, and we'll use Django framework for it. So the first step we'll do is we'll export our vectorizer from here. So if you remember, we had a vectorizer somewhere after we had trained data. So we had a vectorizer here, so we'll import that vectorizer. We'll import I think we can copy the pre-processing text, and we'll import a trained vectorizer. It's really important because our final data was trained on a vectorizer, right? So let me show you where it was. If I'm not wrong, before training it should be there. Yeah, so I had TF-IDF vectorizer and I trained it on my trained data fit transform. Now I want to import this TF-IDF which is fitted on my trained data. So I imported it as a pickle file, and that will be stored in my same folder structure, right? And similarly, I found out, okay, my best model that I've been working was my linear SVC model, right? So what I have done, I have imported my linear SVC model as well. So now I'll be using both of these things in Django, right? And don't worry, we'll be seeing that how do we make a Django application from scratch. And I've made one and I've written those steps for you. So I'll cover each of these steps, and we'll also discuss why these steps are important, why they are there, right? So we'll see all of those things, right? So first of all, the IDE that I'm using to do Django is Visual Studio. It's like one of the best IDEs. So I'll suggest you to use the same. And what we'll do, we won't be working into beautification of front end. It will be a simple UI. It will be just have one input column, one submit button, and it will just give you an output, right? That's our only ask as of now, right? So what I have done is I have created a Django application, and for that the first step is to have a virtual environment. See, why do we have a virtual environment? Is virtual environment basically one session kind of environment that runs on your system, right? So basically, if I'm doing a CMD on my system, so you'll see okay, this is my environment, user slash market, this is my environment. Any application that any module that I install will be here, right? But when I'm doing it in Django, the idea is that there will be many applications, and for many applications I'll be installing different libraries. For example, in this application I am installing NLTK, right? Because I have to deal with NLP, I have to deal with text data. Let's say I'm doing optimization, so I might be installing pulp library. If I'm doing forecasting, so I might be installing FB profit library, right? So that's why it's suggested to always have a separate library for each of your project, on separate virtual environment, right? So what I did, I created a virtual environment. So you just have to run pip install virtual environment and just create virtual environment, my environment, right? So my environment will be a name of environment. Then you can go inside my environment and you can activate the script. It will just give you you'll see something like this on your icon, right? So if I run it, so this is my folder, and you will see something like this on ahead of your CMDs. Means that this particular environment has been activated. So all of the libraries which are installed in this environment, which you will be installing, you can use them, right? So once we have done this, in the next step what we'll do, we'll start a project in Django, right? So if you don't have Django in your environment, you'll first have to install Django. Again, just do a pip install Django. It will install you the recent update of Django, and then you just have to start a project. So it will be Django admin start project, and it will be a project name. So here I have taken the project name of cyberbullying. You can take any project name that you want. In my session, it should be something logical related to actual app, right? It should not be something like project 1, project 2, because in the end, those names actually becomes a little confusing. Later you just go into inside the project and you can start a app. So inside a project there would be a app. So my project here is cyberbullying project, and you will see ki, okay, inside the cyberbullying project there's a cyberbully app, right? So I've created this app, and inside this app I'll have these all files. The most important files here is views. As of now we are not using models and we're not using forms, something like that. So we just are using views, and we have just created one template folder inside which is a base HTML. So let's go step by step, otherwise it would be confusing. So once I've made a app inside my project, what the first step you should do is register your app in installed app, right? So when you will make a project, you will have another folder of a same name. That, for example, my project was cyberbullying app and my app name was cyberbully app, right? So when I'll be creating a project, it will have a folder which will have a same name as my project, right? So it will cyberbullying app. Inside that there will be a settings.py file. This is basically a pillar of all your Django, right? So every configuration in Django is being added here, right? So the first thing I'll do, I'll add my application, whatever I've created in installed app. As you can see, I've done it here, right? So I have created in cyberbully app, so I added it in my installed app list. Okay, so now after this, what the next step would be that I'll make a template folder structure and make a base HTML file in template folder settings, right? So see, when you add, what are templates are basically a folder which holds all of your HTML files. So all the web pages that we see are basically built over HTML, and then they're modified by CSS and other front-end technology. But what we have to understand here, okay, all this front-end is being holded or structured by HTML, right? So what I have to make, I have to make a HTML file, and for that Django has a fixed template structure, right? So what you have to do, inside your app folder, you have to create a template folder. Inside that again you have to create a app folder, and inside that you have to create a base HTML. This is a standard folder structure that Django suggests for making a HTML file, right? So you will have your, and remember the names here. Again, inside my app folder I'll have a templates folder. Inside my templates folder again I will have a folder which is same of the app name, and inside that I can have my main HTML file and other HTML file as well, right? So currently I'm using just one HTML file, so it's base HTML. So once I've done this, you can you'll also have to go into settings, and you'll have to change the path of your templates folder, right? So if you see here that, okay, I'm using os.path.join base dr and templates. So basically now I can use this will help me to shorten the path of that base, reaching to that base HTML file, right? So it will just base directory will already be there. You'll have something like that. If you don't have OS, you have to import OS. But these I'm not expecting you to stuck over these small errors, right? So you'll get error, okay, OS not found. You just have to either import OS. If OS is not there, you have to install OS, and then you can do that, right? So it's a simple procedure of debugging. And once I'm done with adding my templates path here, what I will do, I'll start filling the base HTML file. So I've already made a simple base HTML file. I'll walk you through it. So I have added a heading. Okay, this is in this tweet, is this tweet having a community? It's like a heading, and then I've done a little bit of styling of the further elements. First thing I have a form. That form has a simple label, okay, write the tweet in it, and it has an input field, right? So it will have a box which is in which inside you can write your text value, and then you can submit, and those values will be submitted. And finally you will have one other line in which you'll get an output, and all of those things will be coming from views, right? So just like you can remember in SQL you have views, right? So views are temporary tables. Just like here in Django, views is something that holds your information, holds my pages, right? So I'll make a simple Django view here, right? So what is happening is that when my user puts a value in HTML5, which raises, and when he presses submit button in the form, so it raises a post method, and that post method goes inside my views and say okay, it's out of that request, whatever that request is passed, it fetches the value of that particular element that I want, and that element here is my text value, right? Get text value. So it saves the value of that text value, and then it plays around that text value. Okay, what I have to do with it, right? So what I'm doing here, I'm basically putting that text value to my sentiment classification function, and that sentiment classification function I have made into a separate .py file which I have imported here, nothing else, right? And then that output is being rendered back to the HTML page, right? Now let me see, that output is given back to the HTML page. Now to connect that whatever these things are, where you have to show it, to connect them to a URL, what I'm doing, I'm connecting my views to my URL, right? So views will be connected to URLs. So if you see here, so what I'll be have, so this is my view name is sentiment underscore view. So I'll go into URLs, I'll add okay, from cyberbully app.view, cyberbully is my app name, this is a path, right? Okay, cyberbully app.views, import sentiment view, and I've imported sentiment view and I passed it into this particular URL. Okay, when this URL is being called, trigger whatever there is in this sentiment view, and this sentiment view is giving the values to this base HTML, right? So it's basically a chain of things connecting, right? So once I've done it, let's run the server. So this is a command to run my server. If you can just see, right, copy the pre-processing step, add a sentiment.py file in views, output the results, run migration. So see, you have to do these steps as well. Once we have made this thing, right, once we exported the model, so you copy the pre-processing step over data, add it into a sentiment.py files, output the results, and you have to run migrations also. See what happens, and whatever changes you're making, you have to put into servers as well, right? So it's better step. Generally it's useful when you are having a database, but currently you are not storing a data, so it will not required, but it's still a good practice to make migration. It will stage your migration and will migrate, so it will run your actual migrations, right? And then you have to just run server and this will be a command to run server, and you will get a URL, and when I open this URL, initially you will see an error, and you'll understand why you're seeing that error, right? So it says page not found, and this is your error, right? So this particular our configuration, whatever we have set, it tested two URLs, your admin and sentiment view, right? So if you come back and see it in URLs, so you have tested admin and sentiment view, right? So basically my default URL is currently this value, right? So I'll change it, right? For our test, it will change to sentiment view, and I'll get this particular UI that I have created now. So it's a simple UI, nothing fancy here. So is this tweet harming a community? So you can enter a tweet here, and then you can just press submit, and you'll see the results here, right? So currently it's TBD, to be decided, and whenever as soon as I write a tweet and press submit, it will run that whole see. Now the thing is, now understand a small thing here first. So I could have had whole this file, the whole model training file in the Django app, right? And so what would have happened, every time I would have pressed submit, it would have run all the files, it would have trained the model again, and it would have predicted over it. But the thing is, we are not actually using the new data, we are just training a same model again and again. So it will just a computation cost, which is costing us both the time and efforts, right? So the better thing to do here is, because we are not retraining our model, so why not use the same models? That's why we imported it in a pickle file, and then using a same model, we are predicting the value, right? So when I press submit here on the UI, sorry, where it went, yeah. So when I press submit here, so it will not run training the whole model again. It is just giving the value inside the trained model and predicting the output, right? So let's try some tweets. I'm not that good into cyberbullying tweets, right? So I'm just picking any tweet from the data itself. So this is our cyberbullying tweets data, and these are the text. These all fall into a category of not cyberbullying. I just have to find something, yeah. So let's find something that can be, so let's see this one. Okay, so this one belongs to a category of religion, and if I predict it, I'll just have to copy it here, and this my thing. History has many curse words I can see, and many things we can see which is targeted to one particular region. If I submit it and I'll see, okay, it's falls into category of religion, right? So just testing it out. So this is the training data. I'm sorry, I'm not good at making hate comments that much. You guys can find write your own text. You can find some hateful speeches you think are fall under control of idea of hateful speeches. So let's say this is one of the tweet which I want to see. So let's see what the tweet is. I don't know to base value. Okay, so I got bullied several by these girls who I thought were my friends in high school, right? So this is basically he basically told me not to take people face value, right? So let's see. Okay, this comes under the age, right? So this is age bullying, right? So because they were in high school. So similar, I hope you got the idea that it's working fine. And you remember that when we were doing this, so I imported the linear SVC model and it was getting a score of something 82%, right? So it's 82% accuracy in all my score, right? And now like this is your whole end-to-end project that we have done, right? So if I summarize it once again for what we have done in last 3 videos is we had our whole data, we cleaned our data, we pre-process it, we did a little ED over it, right, to see what are the most common words in each of a particular category. Then we made a vectorizer of our data. Why we made a vectorizer? Because you cannot make computer understand words, you have to make it into numbers. And then we trained multiple models and we got our best result on linear SVC. We tried with hyperparameter tuning and and forgot the name, right, but cross validation. We did this both of these things and we found out, okay, best parameters were on linear SVC and we imported that particular linear SVC model. Then we went into Django. We used the backend of that model into a sentiment.py file. We connected our sentiment.py file to views, and views are connected to my HTML and URLs are connected to views, right? So and we made a whole application in Django. Now further what you can do, you can use CSS and JavaScript to make it look more beautiful. You can add more things, you can also add accuracy over it. Okay, age is being predicted this and this is the accuracy of my model. And other things you can do is you can have a feedback also here, right? So for example, every tweet is coming as age, right? So I'll add a button, okay, is it correct or not, right? So okay, if I feel okay it's correct, so it will be like tweet and age, it's correct, right? So that will add up to my data and I'll retrain my model after some time, right? So you will be taking a feedback and improving your model, right? So those all things you can do. And this was an end-to-end project. See, the best thing I wanted to do in this project, my goal was to make an end-to-end project, right? Like we could have just stopped here on the Jupyter notebook file, but I don't think that's enough, right? So you should know how projects are being done, right? And this is how projects are being done, right? So this is an end-to-end project. You can mention it in your resume once you complete it. You can find the whole code into a description of this video. It will have my GitHub and it will have the whole code. All 3 of our videos will have the whole code. And you can also understand the importance of this, right? Because as we're moving towards a free speech world, right, it's important to tackle or monitor the cyberbullying comments on the social media. So the importance of this project is vast. And you can also, once you have this in your project, you will face some error, and my suggestion to you would be to go through this error. And once you have go through these errors, whatever you'll get in the middle of a project, and you'll find your solution on your own, right? So it will help you build your confidence these projects in the interview, right? And that's the major goal, right? So that you have one project in your resume, right? So because the most important thing that freshers lack in their resume, it's good project, and this can be the one good project in your resume, right? So I hope it helped you. I hope this was worth your time, and do subscribe to Project Pro. They have similar kind of projects, end-to-end project, which will help you grow in the industry and make your name in the industry. And do connect with me over LinkedIn, follow me over LinkedIn, like my content, share your opinion about this video and other content as well. And yeah, hope to see you soon again. Thank you.